Welcome to VetLine, your gathering place for veteran culture, answering your VA questions. With your hosts, the Natron Don and your Uncle Whit.
Reveille, reveille, welcome to VetLine Radio. I am the Natron Don, and with me today is a special guest. His name is Mr. T.
Hey-o. How's it going?
I'm well. Unfortunately, Uncle Whit, my usual co-host, was unable to make it today. He just was unable to find his package of straws to suck it up. Just kidding. He was feeling quite ill today, and he actually kind of called me split this morning about whether he should record or not, and he was kind of going back and forth, and we decided as a unit probably just go to sleep, lay down, take the night, and utilize this resource that we have kind of near us in Mr. T. Mr. T, tell us a little bit about yourself once again.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me back. I hope Montezuma's revenge isn't too bad to Uncle Whit, and I hope he gets better soon. Yeah, thanks for having me back. I was here last week, had a lot of fun with you guys, talking vets. What'd you ask? Sorry.
Oh, listen, we're going to kind of reprise a little bit, reintroduce yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. I have my master's degree in social work, and with an emphasis on military and veterans and their families. Thank you very much. I am a former vet myself, and a current dependent. So, I am a vet. I like helping vets, and I like talking vets. So I think I'm in the right building here.
Outstanding. And we are utilizing you today as a resource for today's topic, which is, well, to bring it straight, we're talking about how to bring up the lowest members of our tribe. Mm-hmm. And that is those individuals who are currently homeless or are in danger of being homeless soon. The reason why we kind of brought this up is I feel one of the biggest assets that we don't utilize enough, especially here in the United States, but all over the earth, is other humans. We don't see other people as assets to a better life, assets to help each other, so we don't feel any need or any incentive to help build them up. And so today we're kind of talking about how to build up the lowest portion of our tribe, and we're utilizing Mr. T here with his all his gold chains, his nice rings, to pity some fools and lay some knowledge on us. So I guess I want to give us some incentive right off the bat.
All right.
Why should we care about this particular topic? It's kind of a big topic. It's kind of daunting. What is in it for me, Mr. T?
Yeah, it is a daunting topic, and I do pity the fools. I don't know about the gold chains, but I do pity the fools. And it's one of those topics that it's out there. There's another topic that maybe you guys can talk about later, and it kind of encompasses a lot of different topics. So substance abuse, job loss, traumatic brain injuries, and stuff like that. Homelessness in general is a big deal in America, whether you're a military veteran or not. It's just one of those things that everyone has their own opinion about it. Everyone, might see a homeless person or the family at the homeless shelter, and everyone formulates their own opinions about those people and their situation. And it's a little different when it comes to vets, a known military vet, homeless veteran, I guess, because we have this image in our head that they served our country, they fought for our freedoms. There's no way that we should let them live on the streets or without a home. Mm-hmm. So to get back to your question, I guess, Natron, is what incentive does it have? Well, I guess there's a lot. I mean, besides cleaning up your streets, your neighborhoods, doing the right thing, helping someone out, helping your fellow, human being, like you said at the top of the show, or more specifically for us, our fellow veterans, our tribesmen, our tribespeople, getting them back on their feet. We don't know why they're homeless, but we just know that maybe they need some help. So there's some statistics out there that talk about the tax burden, how much it costs to shelter homeless as opposed to putting them in jail, arresting them, all this other stuff. So there's incentives out there for this topic.
Well, like I guess in this particular case, I feel that I live in a I kind of live in a crux of this issue because I live near a military base,
Uh-huh.
so it's a large concentration of military personnel. There is great weather here year round.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to want to camp outside or live outdoors, it would want to be in an environment such as this, most
Right.
likely.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we have the opportunity to see a lot of this going on, not unlike a lot of probably Americans around the world, people around the world. I get see a lot of people almost walking out of every single store, driving out of every strip mall. There's people with signs. There's people asking for money, and it seems like such a large issue. It seems almost like I can't do anything. There's a woman who essentially I see her every single day on this piece of concrete, and the same piece of square of concrete. She's sitting on her chair, and that's essentially where it seems like she sleeps. When I see her in the day, I see her there on that piece of concrete, and when I leave, she's on that piece of concrete, and I essentially maybe that's her home. Why should I want to take time out of my day, out of my capitalist day, when I'm kind of essentially doing my part to build up the economy and keep my house in order? Why should I take time out of my day to help to listen to this podcast,
Right.
and continue, or you kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What purpose? So, I mean, why should I care? It's usually a social issue that
Mm-hmm.
The cops or the government should handle.
Exactly, and you kind of just hit the nail on the head right there when you said social issue. So it's a social issue. You live in the society, so you're a part of the society, whether you directly give this person change right there, or you help out at a soup kitchen, or you help, volunteer your time. If you live in a society, and I know Uncle Witt has talked about this, getting involved in your community, that's part of it. Being part of the society that you live in is a big deal. So you can either and again, people construct their own ideas of those people that are on the corner. Should I give them, change? Should I give them food? Should I just ignore them? I see them
Right.
every day. I give them a little change here and there when I can.
Uh,
That's everyone has their own opinions of that particular person. But then there's people that you don't see that don't do that, that are technically homeless, but they're not on the corner because every day during the day they're out looking for work or they're helping out somewhere else. They just don't have a place to call home. So
right.
those are the people that you don't really see, and those are the ones that's what the government and the VA, those are the ones that they're accounting for. Now, yeah, you'll have every now and then on every corner, and or not on every corner, but on corners in different cities, you'll have the person with the sign that may be just down on their luck and they're looking for change. Those are different
Mhm.
people. People that go to the soup kitchens or the homeless shelters with families, perhaps, those are a different set of people. So whether you have change in your pocket at the time and you feel like giving it to them on the corner, that's one thing. Or whoa, and
Excuse me.
or if you donate time at the soup kitchen, it's again, it goes back to your society that you live in and how you want to make it better. I like to refer to my good, he's not my friend, but I listen to his music, Michael Jackson.
Oh,
The man in the
you know him
mirror.
well.
Yeah, right. My son was actually born on the day that MJ passed away, so I feel a little kindred to him. But anyway,
Oh, wow.
his song "Man in the Mirror" is a song that, if you can remember it, if you want to make the world a better place, you got to take a look at yourself and make that change. So, yeah, I mean, it's and you asking that question is not that you are ashamed or anything or wondering
Mm,
about it, but maybe some people are. Maybe people see the same person, they're like, man, this person's never going to get help. I've seen him for the last 5 years on the same corner. Why do I need to give him change?
exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to, but
I'll tell you what my procedure is. I'm
yeah,
very I perform a up and down kind of
uh,
assessment,
yeah,
and I determine on a number of things. Age is kind of the number one thing because um, I had an experience driving through Northern California, which opened my eyes to a whole new form of homelessness, which is some
oh,
20,
yeah,
like 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids who just kind of are homeless because
mhm, mhm,
they have nothing better to do. And
yeah,
so they're like, hey, dude, so I don't give a change to those guys. So I
yeah.
figure like they're kind of the tourists of the homeless community.
They're just passing through,
Right.
kind
They're
of.
like, hey, yeah, I'm homeless because I get to. We're going to smoke weed. Ooh, live
Yeah,
this hard life so I can tell my kids about it later or gloat or,
yeah,
I could go back to Portland and tell all my stories.
yeah.
I'm sorry, am I alienating all of the Portlandites? I love Portland.
The Portlandians.
Portland,
Yeah.
Portlandese. Uh, but if you're like a nice, a tender 64 years old and they have some good old bleached skin and they're just nothing but bones and it's all hanging, their skin is hanging off of it, those guys I
Yeah.
will give everything in my pockets to because they are living the life. They're not tourists at all. They are lifelong campers.
Yeah,
Those
you can
guys
just see it
have
in their
been,
face.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have been outdoors for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Their only shelter is a hat on their head a lot of times, And
Yeah. Yeah.
so you feel those are the guys I'll give to because they're kind of what I see as like the committed person, like the uh, the real veterans of the homeless community, so to speak.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I honor them and their commitment by providing them with whatever measly change or gum wrappers I
Yeah.
have in my pocket at the time.
Now, let me ask you this, Nate, Tron. Are you more susceptible to perhaps donate or give your spare change to someone who claims they're a veteran, or whether they're young or old? Does that make any difference to you or not, or how do you feel about
Well,
that?
this is kind of funny, if anything. And yes, actually, to be completely honest, it is kind of a joke that there is an age thing, but it generally does. In my brain, my schema works that fast, is that there is kind of these stereotypes in my mind where I'm like, the veteran, the young person is almost like, well, you still have a lot to give when I
Hmm.
see a young person. So for some reason, I feel less apt to want to help them or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I could
However,
see that too. Yeah.
yeah. However, I think in with this particular issue, I don't think veterans really come into mind for me, like as part of the stereotype. And this is gonna sound, it sounds really bad, but a lot of people claim to be military veterans, homeless people. They're not
Yeah.
exactly known to be the most forthright.
Right.
And but also when I walk out of almost every single one of my department stores, there's a guy sitting on a chair with a Marine Corps cap on, and with an ammo can on top of a TV table stand, and
Hmm. Hmm.
he's on it is help your homeless veteran outreach, on all these things, and that I don't feel very compelled to help them because I kind of know better. In a weird way, I feel like I don't know much about their organization. I don't feel like I know much about them. I could be putting literally this ammo can be a prop, and they'll just be kind of they bought a hat at the Salvation Army and
Right. Yeah.
decided this is how I'll make money, and so
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know better. So that's kind of my uh, uh, conflict when it comes to when I walk into those situations.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, especially living in a military town. I mean, how hard is it to go to the Army Navy surplus and buy that stuff up? And maybe they are some they're maybe they're just capitalizing on that
Mhm.
to get some sympathy. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you just never know,
Yeah.
especially when you're walking in and out of a store. Um, I
One
had
of
a
the,
Go ahead.
one of the most important things, real quick, I wanted to glean from you, I think, Mr. T, is that
Yep.
I wanted to get from you what I think could be probably the most valuable asset we could give to those in our tribe, this veteran tribe, to help lift them up, and that is resources. I don't know very much information on resources, and I guess I could go and do a Google search and all that stuff, but I'm probably going to be sent down a lot of rabbit holes. I'm going to get distracted, and there's not really, again, much in it for me. But right here, right now, we have the time and we have the resource.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I think today's episode is really going to do. Is if you really want to give something very substantial, it goes back to teach a man to fish, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, right? And
Right. He'll eat for a lifetime or
for a
whatnot.
lifetime. Right. And so in this particular case, information can in fact be your best asset, the biggest thing you can give away. Hey, have you called this person? Hey, this resource is available. We could take you there. Or that could be one of the biggest things you can give to veterans or those claiming to be veterans, homeless veterans, or those in danger of being, or you see that are in danger of being homeless. So one of those things I want to talk about. Did you say you had a point real quick that you wanted to get back to?
I couldn't remember it at the time, but I'm sure if we keep talking, it'll pop up sometime.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the things I wanted to get out of you first is just some of the warning signs, right? What are the things that would drive a person to have to live or have to be without a home?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, in regards, and what I'm going to speak about right now is primarily regarding the veteran population. So there's different issues that pop up for the average homeless population or the not military population. But what I'm going to kind of talk about right now is primarily with the veteran population. So let's get some of the facts out, or the facts as given by the VA, the Veterans Affairs Office. So um, the VA is claiming that here we go. uh, the number of veterans experiencing homelessness, okay, it's been declining, but it's still at 107,000 former servicemen and women are homeless. Yeah.
107,000
Right.
individuals. So
Yeah.
we talked about, we gave a number a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
which again, we talk about millions of people. It's kind of hard to grasp that amount of number. But when you say 107,000, I come from a city of about 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you're about just a little less than half of the people in my city. If we took all those homeless veterans, well, my city would be just a little bit less than half filled with homeless people,
Yeah.
homeless individuals. That's a large percentage. That seems
It
like a
is.
very daunting number.
Yeah, and that was in 2009, so that was about 5-6 years ago. So the number has probably gone up just slightly, give or take a few, because we have more veterans, a lot more
Mhm.
service members transitioning out. Um, and so with that number, we see that about 61% of the homeless veterans are between the ages of 35 and 54. Um, and 96% of homeless veterans are male. But we're also seeing some female Iraqi and Afghanistan veterans as well. So going back to your kind of
You're
the war.
saying
Oh,
you're saying female veterans from these last two wars.
yes.
So these are recent. This
Yeah.
isn't people who have fallen upon hard times and they're, back in the 90s and are kind of slowly degraded into a homeless lifestyle. These are people who transitioned somehow in the
Hmm.
last 10 years and boom, fell into a life without a home.
Right. Yeah.
Man, that sounds like we are dropping the ball somehow. I feel with that kind of idea, it seems like we shouldn't. I don't know. For some reason, it feels like we shouldn't be we should be past creating new homeless people. You know, is
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
to
yeah.
kind of think about like why are we still making home? You kind of understand. Okay, people will be homeless, but people are becoming homeless. You kind of
Wow.
think, oh my god. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a nice eye opener.
Yeah, it is, and the thing with all that, and to tie it all back into the your question, is how to spot it, or how do veterans fall into that? And these, what I'm about to say, this is particular to veterans again. So veterans have a high rate of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's probably a given to the general public.
I
But
couldn't understand why.
yeah, why? Yeah. And also traumatic brain injury, TBI. And
What?
exactly. And this next one is bringing in the female veterans, males also, but more likely females, military sexual trauma that they experience, and going through that. So um, that can lead to a higher risk for homelessness.
Of course.
Yeah. The VA is reporting that about half of the homeless veterans have some serious mental illness, and 70% have substance abuse problems. So there's two other things that tie into, I guess, warning signs that you could see in maybe your friend or a veteran that you know, but also kind of something to give you the information of how this happens
Mm.
so fast, and or how, I guess you put it just recently, is how we're creating more homelessness.
Mm.
So it kind of goes back to the education as far as knowing signs and symptoms of PTSD, of post-traumatic stress disorder, and
Mm-hmm.
traumatic brain
Traumatic
injury.
brain
Yeah, and this military sexual trauma. Because if those aren't being addressed in the right way, in a productive way, then it's just human nature that we try and self-medicate, and most of the times it's not pretty if you're doing it by yourself with
injury.
illegal substances, or even some legal substances, drinking alcohol and liquor, um, if that's how you're taking care of those issues, then it's probably not going to end well. I'm not saying that it is going to end well, or it's going to end bad every single time, but just be on the lookout that if you have some PTSD issues, that maybe you need to get them checked through the VA, a healthcare provider in your area, or I know Uncle Whit is a big advocate of getting out there to your VSO. So
Veteran service officer, absolutely.
yes, 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 yes.
Um, I guess so. By what is another point? So we talked about you gave us some numbers about
Mhm.
kind of the immensity of this problem. Do you hear an echo? I think I hear an echo.
Maybe. Is it
Maybe.
the studio producer again
Yeah,
dropping the
this
ball?
right. This top notch, state of the art. I think I'm just yelling is what it is.
Yeah.
Probably, most likely. Uh, give us some nice numbers, man. What else? Let's talk about some other things that would possibly lead to an individual becoming homeless.
Well, I think what you said earlier too is the veteran population in general is more likely to live outdoors in unsheltered areas, and they can experience long-term chronic homelessness longer than, I guess, your average citizen would, because the training perhaps they just
Right.
and then in an area where you and I reside right now, who wouldn't want to? I mean, it's nice and sunny all the time. So I honestly don't know if it's people are flocking to this area to be homeless because it's nice outside, or if it's just that, I mean, there's a huge military population here, and once they transition out and they kind of don't have anywhere to go, maybe they just kind of stay here. But
I believe there's like a legitimate migration that comes, like seriously, a
yeah.
sort of migration of individuals that travel throughout the United States, and this is kind of their winter stop.
Yeah, I mean, I would not blame them. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. Why not?
yeah,
This is the place.
yeah. I think one of the other issues was just not being able to manage your money. I don't know. I don't have any numbers on this or statistics of why this is, but this is kind of just my Mr. T's personal opinion of the younger generation coming up that
Oh
makes
shit!
money.
I could tell you why. I could
Oh,
tell you why there's less financial frugality because of
yeah.
my situation. Again, totally anecdotal, but I have never really been really particularly good with money.
Uh-huh.
I've never. I kind of spend it as soon as I get it, kind of thing. It's just the way it is, and it's something I've always done. And in the military, when you get a kind of a paycheck on schedule, you
Yeah.
have. Uh, Holy moly! I think I hear a pretty bad echo. Check.
I don't hear it, but
Okay. But I think one of the biggest things is that there is you receiving pay on schedule. You have these benefits that typically cost way more than than you realize. These medical benefits and such, life insurance, uh, and so what you get is you get very comfortable living in this type of environment. And getting out, I guess you lose that stability, and now you have to kind of work hourly. You're not on salary. You a large portion of your check goes directly to medical bills or medical insurance rather, a 401k if you're lucky enough to have one, such and such. And now if you're spending money like I am or was, as soon as I get it, you're going to be living hand to mouth life on that transition is going to be much more stressful. I know me. One of the biggest things is I like to go out and have fun with friends, and that kind of social loss is kind of hard to come by. You kind of losing that ability when you lose the ability to spend money so freely. It's pretty. It's a there is a transition. I could totally see why there's a financial frugality problem, financial lack of financial knowledge or something.
vulnerability.
Oh, thank you. Vulnerability is exactly what I was looking to not pull out.
Yeah.
There is a financial vulnerability in that transition of coming out, or trying to be a part of the civilian world and not having that kind of stable, stable life, stable pay,
Yeah.
stable.
And to tie it into I think it was last week's episode you guys had was transitioning out of the military and creating a new role for yourself. It's not as easy as some people think. And not only that is, say you're a Vietnam era veteran, and say you did transition back when you got out in the 70s, and you've lived your life, you've started a family, your kids have already gotten out of the house, and maybe now you're retired. Well, we're seeing a lot of stuff with the Vietnam era veterans with PTSD that's just now popping up for whatever reason. And so now maybe they're retiring, or maybe they're transitioning out of their job that they've had for the last 20, 25 years. Now they're going through another transition and kind of going through the same thing they did when they got out of the military, trying to figure out where maybe they didn't save up during their career enough, or maybe they're giving it to their kids, and transitioning, finding a new role, and maybe they have issues with that on top of their PTSD that they haven't addressed in so many years, and just finding a new role, not knowing what they call themselves every day when they look in the mirror. That can be, yeah.
You keep saying PTSD, you keep saying traumatic brain injury, and one of the biggest things we probably were alluding to is mental health.
Yes.
There's a huge mental health gap a lot of times with when it comes to the homeless population, individuals who are homeless, is there's a mental what's the word? I'm trying to be very politically correct. I'm not trying to be like he's out of his goddamn mind, He's fucking crazy. I'm trying not to be that guy. I'm trying to actually think of the words, but they're not coming out at the speed I want.
It's all right,
but
man.
you kind of see, there is an issue with mental health amongst the homeless individuals. There seems to be a higher rate of it. Do you happen to have a number on that?
How many veterans seek mental health or need to seek?
Or the likelihood of mental health issues amongst homeless veterans.
Oh, I mean, it's high. It's a high number. I don't have an exact number for that, but it's pretty high. When I kind of mentioned the 70% this is from the VA. 70% have substance abuse problems, but yeah, I mean, not it's we know we came up in a generation where it's pushed, not really pushed down our throats, but we're aware for the most part of the stuff that that's the services that are available. But some people aren't. Many lack awareness of programs, or they're ambivalent about seeking care. So maybe they don't know, they're not educated in thinking that they have a mental uh, health issue or a substance abuse issue, and they just don't seek the care. They just, if everyone they hang around with and that's their environment, then they're not really aware that they have an issue. It's until those people leave or their family leaves them or they just find themselves alone that then it kicks in that something's not right and I might
Mhm.
need some help.
Mhm.
Um, so and to go along with what I was saying earlier about those older gentlemen and women veterans, when their discharge status or their lack of records, that creates complications in getting them services. Some of those guys were on some of those people were on secret missions that the government does not want anyone to know about.
Yeah.
And like getting them I know Agent Orange is a big deal, and
Mhm.
being exposed to that stuff, who knows what that stuff did
Oh,
to
goddamn.
them. Yeah, so and if they're like, yeah, I was in so and so at this time and I was exposed to Agent Orange and the VA, the red tape, the bureaucracy, like, well, we don't have any records of that. So, while you're waiting 5, 10, 15 years, go do this, or we'll get back to you, and
Mhm.
that can be an issue. Um,
I remember something coming about in conversation, and I looked it up a bit, was talking about during the Reagan administration, he was making tax cuts to local governments in order to decrease the deficit and such.
mhm.
And one of the big things that suffered was mental health or state-run mental health clinics and or inpatient shelters, I guess you call them, or hospitals.
Yeah.
And what happened was a lot of these people were released back into the streets.
hmm Yeah, I think it's well known. I mean, I know we were young bucks at the time, or little kids or whatever, and don't, I didn't live it, but reading in history that I think Reagan was well known for increasing the military fund while decreasing funding for mental health. I think
Right.
that's just something that's well established, and I know you just hit on it. So yeah, I mean it was kind of well known that in the 80s, throughout the 80s, that mental health was not a topic that we spent enough time on, and as a result, I mean, we can kind of see what happened in society. And I think that the term back then was the rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
Right.
Trickle down economics, whatever you want to call it, all that stuff didn't quite happen or work as they planned. But if the majority of the population is doing well and enjoying themselves, then we kind of forget about, as you said at the top of the show, those lower members of our tribe or and stuff, and we kind of forget about them, and so too do we forget about the services that we can provide for them.
Mhm.
But on the flip side, that's all turning around. Da, 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 da. I don't have the sound. Sorry.
Too
uh,
bad.
there we go.
Yeah.
We're coming around. We're coming around with this generation of
Absolutely.
veterans.
But we're
And
talking about it, which is a nice thing, and we're
yeah,
talking it on a medium that is kind of open and free and to disseminate information. And
yep.
so hopefully this would spread somehow, and hopefully the one person who listens to this will tell their friends. And but if we're not housing these individuals in healthcare clinics or giving them proper health care, what are we doing with them? And I think the obvious answer is putting them out on the streets. And when something goes wrong, when they do have a schizophrenic episode or they do have a post-traumatic stress disorder induced flashback or whatever you would call it, or their mental illness does peek its ugly head, rear its ugly head. What do we do with these individuals? Do we send them to the hospital? Probably not. Usually they end up wearing cuffs, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the sad truth behind all that is we're more likely to arrest homeless individuals for being for whatever charges. I don't know the name, lewd conduct, or sometimes they'll get caught urinating in public, and which is wrong, of course. But if they don't have anywhere to go, and they get caught, they're going straight to jail. And if it's near a school or something like that, or a park, I mean, that's you're on the sex offender list. Not that happens often, but I have studied that and I've heard it. And so that happens. That'll ruin them even more, just from not having a roof over their head.
Which would make sense, because you can't, if you don't have any money or you kind of stink, you carry I guess you carry the uniform of a homeless individual. Not everybody's you kind of are wearing a target, essentially, when you walk into a place of business. And if you're obviously not gonna patronize and just use the restroom. They're not gonna. Usually, it's you buy something or become you gotta be a customer in order to use a restroom.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as a homeless individual or something, you probably aren't wearing the best clothes. You are that target. You stand out. So you can't exactly just walk into places. So then that would, again, totally make sense why you could fall into a category like that, where I just need to relieve my bowels, or just need to poop or pee, and fucking I can't because I happen to smell a little too ripe. My hair is a little too messy. I haven't shaved my beard, been able to go get inside and look into a mirror recently. So it's tough. I could totally that would make sense.
Yeah.
Even access to a bathroom is difficult.
Yeah, yeah. It is, and to walk in their shoes, it would be tough. Again, I think I always look back and think, these people were once our friends. We all, in some shape or form, went through the same thing as far as boot camp, drill, basic training, and we all had order and discipline, and we all had sharp, nice uniforms. And like you were saying earlier, we had that paycheck, and we had the life insurance, and we had all these things. And for all that to just go away, I guess, or for service members to forget that and live in the way that they're living now, it's I don't want to get on a social worker thing, but it's shameful almost to see our fellow veterans live that way and live in that manner, or where they can't get the help that they need. It's just, I don't know. It's you can't imagine it, really.
Yeah, get off your goddamn soapbox there, motherfucker. But oh man, I hit the effect and I got too excited.
He got caught up on the effect.
It
happens to the best of us.
One of the best effects I've used so far.
It happens to the best of us, my friend. Well, while you're thinking of,
we talked about crime and them getting caught up in the legal system, which is important for us, and that impacts us directly. And going back to what does an individual being homeless have to do with me? Right, I pay my taxes. Isn't there orphanages and what did Scrooge say? Isn't there jail? I'm fucking it up. Pass on. Carrying on. Moving on.
As I
was. Right. When you're caught up in the legal system, then who's paying for that?
Yeah, well, everyone is that lives in that community. Yeah, whether it's jailing them or I mean, and it's just, I mean, if you arrest a homeless person and you fine them and you charge them, I mean, good luck getting your money. I don't know where they're going to get it from to pay you.
Exactly.
So the resources that are used for that. So I mean, I'm let me see. I'm pretty sure I could look it up, but I saw something on social media somewhere that was saying, it would cost less to house the homeless, just create housing, than it would be any other way through any other means. And
Hmm.
that's a kind of an idea. You're like, well, I, look, we live in a society, in my opinion, where you pick yourself up from your bootstraps. Everyone makes their own way. If I did it, you can do it. Yeah, I get it, and that happens, but not everyone. It's not the same for everyone. Everyone is different. So that mentality
Right.
is hard for me to grasp.
Mhm.
That it worked for you. Congratulations. You pass that on to your kids or whatever. But for this person over here, it didn't work that way. So what
Right.
are you gonna do? Are you just gonna like let them, you know, not benefit or what? And depending on
Mhm.
your bipartisan, your political leanings, you might have an opinion of it.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna be to play devil's advocate. Everybody gets their own run of the dice. I'm never gonna
yeah,
play fucking
yeah.
professional basketball because I'm 5'7" and Mexican, right? So,
You just accepted him do
right.
something on that.
Yeah, I got myself a shovel and a rake, and that's what I'm doing
Yeah.
now. I'm just kidding. Uh, I no, but seriously, I mean that's just our run of life. We all have our own turns of the
Right.
coin,
Mhm.
turns of the dice, and we're just doing the best we can with it.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Um. Well, I went as I became a social worker and I went through the whole process. One of my favorite presidents of all time became Franklin Roosevelt, and I have this queued up. I don't have it memorized by any means, but he was quoted as saying, "The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little." And there you go. Hello. And so, Franklin Roosevelt, president, social welfare, did a lot for during the Great Depression, and
Right,
just
the New Deal and such,
yeah,
right? Is it?
exactly, yes, sir, very good. And so I mean, he seemed to have a grasp on what it takes for a society to thrive, to not forget every single person in your society. So yeah, maybe you weren't dealt the best of cards, or maybe you're down on your luck. Um, that's okay. I mean, we can't just forget about you and move on and continue. The rest of everyone else do so well. Um, in my opinion,
Right.
you know, we have to keep an eye out on everyone. And again, I know that's not a popular think thought process, but it's one that I wholeheartedly that I'm going to pass on to my son, uh, for him to always remember that, because when the society what am I trying to say? When the society does well, everyone else does well, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Absolutely.
And well, even in the military, who do you put at the front of the line when you're running, when you're doing PT? You put the slower person up there because you're only as good as your weakest player. And I know I'm going off on a weird military tangent thing or whatever, but
Right.
in the military they teach you to put those, like lift each other up. You look out for each other, watch your six and all that. And that's kind of what we're doing. I mean, as far as the veteran homeless population, now am I saying forget about the other people? No, but
Fuck up.
yeah, like let them figure it out on their own.
Right.
No, not at all, because once we see that the homeless veteran population is kind of getting back on its feet, then I think that would open up some other doors and other resources for the general public to see how it works and how we can get them back. But I know now the President Obama has put a lot of money into getting the homeless veteran population off the streets and into homes and meaningful careers and jobs, not just throwing them money or giving them food every a hot breakfast, like
Okay.
actually working with them.
That's exactly it. It's kind of a lot of times you feel like, yeah, I give you this, I'm giving you change right now. Two
Yeah.
things. You're probably most likely, because I am biased and bigoted, you're probably in my mind just gonna go buy a 40. I know
Yeah.
I gave you $1.50. You just need another dollar, and you have a fucking nice, Red Bull or Red Dog or something, Mad
Mm,
Dog or
mm,
something.
yeah. Yeah.
So I know this, but that's my stereotype. I don't know what they're
Mm,
gonna do with it, but
yeah.
that's what I'm thinking they're gonna do. And so I feel like I've just kind of fed him for a day. So let's talk about those resources. How and what can I do?
Well, to be honest, Natron,
Mm,
I'm not sure what the average citizen can do to help with outside of volunteering, donating to your local DAV, Disabled American Veterans. I know they do a lot with veterans that need help. Your VFW, your American Legion, those types of organizations that have been vetted and that are legitimately you know where your money's going for the most part, or you could find out where it's going. Um, Donating, volunteering your time perhaps could be. I mean, but that's just kind of like a feel good thing, you know. Like
right.
I get out and I help out the homeless. You know, that gives you some ownership of the situation. What I can talk about briefly. I mean, I'm not an expert on this, but the government programs that are out there. So this is more like organizations that are given money, federal funding. Like I said, President Obama is really trying to hit this hard, and what they do. And these services have anything from social workers, medical doctors, inpatient beds. The government has given money to organizations throughout the country to stop this, to
Mhm.
pretty much end homelessness. I think I read something that 2007 or 8, I think they came out with it, and I'm laughing because it said that they wanted to end veteran homelessness by 2015. Well, you know, I mean, we
Right.
can kind of see how that is, but how that's
2015 ain't
going.
over, man. There's only
Yeah,
107,000.
this is true. This is true. Um, some of the initiatives I've seen are the 25 city initiative by the VA. So they're the 25 cities across the country, which San Diego and LA happen to be one. It's
Ooh.
to end veteran homelessness in communities that have the highest concentrations. The United States Interagency Council on Homelessness has a program, Housing First, that addresses this problem. And then to throw another federal plug in there, the program Opening Doors, and that's the one I was telling you that in 2008 or 9 they came out and said they wanted to end homelessness by 2015. But Opening Doors, and these are all federal programs that were created to address this particular issue. Um, so there's that.
Right. Well, like, look, I got kids.
Mhm.
I gotta go to
Right.
school.
Yeah.
House of Cards just came out again. I
Very
got
good.
I
Hold
got
on.
shit
Hold
on
on.
my schedule.
Season 3. I'm almost done with it on Netflix. You got to start. You got to watch it. You got to get the
Is it as
wife.
good as I think?
It's better. It's
Uh,
really good. Yeah.
Kevin Spacey gives me a big old power
Yeah.
boner in that.
He's hey man. He's the man. And Mrs. Underwood, she's not too bad herself. She's good in this
Hmm.
one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name? Robin Wright.
Robin Wright. Yeah. That's Jenny, man.
Ooh,
Jenny
yeah.
from Forrest Gump.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude! I did not put that together.
It's the short hair, I think. When you
Yeah,
put long hair on her.
she's a
Yeah.
savage old lady there. Uh,
But go, that's true. But going back to what you were saying, yeah,
I
you
got
got
shit to do, man. I
that.
can't, I got time and money's tight. We're in the middle of a recession. I got bills to pay. I've got fucking medical insurance I have to
Mhm.
pay for now.
Yep.
I mean, what's the next best thing I can do? What's some information maybe I can give out?
As far as giving to other vets, or
Well, I guess here's probably a better question that I would get to next, and that is, what is the best way to help an individual on the moment? Like, if I was to give, like, let's say I had a guy comes up to me,
Mhm.
I know I could maybe give him a ride, or I could send him to a resource nearby. Is there a place where I could find something like that?
Yeah, your local VA, your healthcare, the VA hospital or clinic that you live by, and we really need Uncle Whit here to plug the
Absolutely.
VSO and what he does, because I mean I'm sure he sees his fair share of this in his community, but any VSO, the VFW, you know those things that we keep coming back to, those staples in the veteran community. Um, and
You mentioned something last week about vet centers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that and that's a resource I believe that's available. Talk about a little bit about that.
It is a resource available. However, and I can only speak from the vet center that I volunteered at for a brief moment in Texas. We had an outreach person there that had a lot of information of local resources, but it's not something that excuse me they advertised for, so they weren't like, come on into the vet center if you need anything. Now, being called a vet center and having that on your door, that just leads to people coming in. So a lot of times I would either get a call or veterans that walk in that wanted to either schedule a doctor's appointment because they thought it was the VA clinic, or
Right.
that wanted to that just, hey, I need help. And it was interesting because it was right next to a bus station, like a terminal.
Right.
So in the short time that I was there, I actually had two or three homeless vets that came in that sought help, I guess. Yeah,
Stop. Yeah.
there you go. That sought help, and we were able to help them out
Right.
with their mental health issues. Um, so yeah, even just because it says vet center, and I mean just go to it. Just go in, walk in. I remember when I was discharged and I moved back to a different area. I went, I saw a thing in the shopping center that said Military Career Center. I was like, oh hey, I was in the military. I need a job. I walked in there. Of course, that's what they call Army recruiting
Right.
places now. So it was all Army, no lie. The needle stopped. The guys sitting by the door with the shaved heads kind of looked up at me because
Yeah.
they were about to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys
You
in
bought the
uniform.
table.
Yeah. And so I was like, uh-oh, I'm in the wrong
Right.
area. And I
Yeah.
immediately told him, I said, I just got out. I thought this was going to be a place to help me find work. So I kind of backtracked, literally, like I just walked backwards out like 3 steps. I didn't even like turn around or anything. I just walked right back out. I said, no, thank you.
Like if I
But
put this on rewind, we could pretend it didn't
yeah,
happen.
yeah. They didn't want to have anything to do with me when that happened. I was like, I'm out of
Yeah.
here. See you guys. And so just any place like that, they're out there. But again, it's a lack of knowledge or lack of knowing that any of that stuff is out there. So to all your listeners, if you know a vet or if you are a vet, um, you just ask around, look around. You know,
I guess what I wanted to do, I thought maybe we could find a centralized area for information. And I guess I should probably, I wish I had done my research beforehand and not, but what I would encourage, and this is one of the biggest things for me that I kind of came across, is it really pays to know the resources in your area.
yeah, yeah.
And kind of their capabilities. Because again, it's the feed or give a man a fucking that up, dude. It's like the most common shit ever, and I keep messing it up. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him whatever forever, or
Yeah,
feed him for at least
forever
for
and
tomorrow.
ever.
Right. And so I feel like one of the biggest things you can give an individual in this particular case is information. And that is, hey, have you gone to this shelter? Have you been this place? I know these people who will pick you up. I could take you to this shelter who will help you. I know of this soup line, or I know of this area. And one of the biggest things we can give to another person is that type of information. Would you agree?
I would wholeheartedly agree, Nate, and I think from the beginning of the show to now, you have come such a long way in just knowing that a little bit, because that's it. And each community is
Right.
different. Each community, what I have in my community, there's probably more than likely a VA somewhere in the big city areas throughout the country, but each community is different. Big and small. Obviously, the bigger they are, the more resources they may have. The smaller, they might be a little hard to find. But whatever it is, look in your community for those resources, and yeah, not you know get to know the stuff yourself. That way you're a little bit better to help out. I remember whenever I was going through grad school, I was like, man, whenever I graduate and I get my own place or wherever I'm going to work, and I get my own business card, I'm just going to start handing it out to homeless people,
Mm.
just because that would be like, whatever. And here I am, I've already graduated and I don't have a business card, but
Yeah.
still, I want to, that I think that is the best you can do for veterans that are seeking shelter or help, is just information. And I think you really hit it home when you said that, is just, you know getting as much knowledge as you can about your surrounding areas and the resources that are available, and dispersing that. It's something you would have done when you were in the military for a junior. I was going to say sailor, just because that's what we dealt with, but any junior enlisted member or any member, if you knew something about the way to do something, you would disperse that information. and
Right.
and that's kind of what we want to do, mimic out here in the civ div, is like, we haven't forgot about you. Here's some information. Take this information, and we'll get you some help,
Hmm.
because you're not going to change them. Like you said,
Right.
that money you give them might feed them that day, but you're not going to change them. You're not getting down to the root of the problem. But someone out there who's equipped to handle their issues can, and they can make a difference. So just information.
Right. One of the biggest problems I think I have with like media or news and such is that a lot of times you don't get the full story. You don't really get the full information. You only kind of get the information that they want
Right.
you to hear. And so oftentimes we can kind of see this homeless issue as almost impossible to solve. Or well, it is. And to say solve, we always think of like getting down to the number zero.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things I think I can find is that when if you can just like give a I guess I don't know. I'm trying to kind of say is what fuck my face, dude. I don't know what I'm saying here. I lost my point of my point is that man, I guess I was trying to hit on trying to refer people to places, and
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those issues that it's hard. It's the big issue is homelessness. But
Mm,
as we've learned through just talking here, it's more than that. It's the
right.
mental health, the
Yeah.
PTSD, the traumatic brain injury. So addressing those individual issues will hopefully lead to the eradication or the lower numbers in homelessness.
Right.
And so I
Oh,
think that's what we're trying to address.
I remember where I was going. So we
Okay.
got the full. I dislike the fact that I get limited information from the media outlets that
Hmm.
I subscribe to. However, and they kind of open up the dialogue a lot of times about veterans using with a kind of term, and you used it well earlier in one of our conversations. That is invisible wounds. And
Yeah.
so oftentimes it's kind of difficult to feel like you're doing any type of help because you feel like these individuals are so traumatized. Boom! I found that thought. I dug for it. I
Yeah.
fucking found it, dude. Oh my gosh. That was a hard one, guys.
Yeah.
I heard there was some popping and whizzing. I blew a couple gears, dude, but we got
some
it.
some smoke coming out of your ears there. Well, it was. I'm glad, because yeah, you're right. it is harder to see those invisible wounds these days. And you know, if you're not a, it seems like if you're not an amputee wearing a camouflage jacket with long hair and a sign, then people don't know what to, you know, how to approach you.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just addressing those invisible wounds, those the you know, the stuff that we don't readily open and talk about, especially at the meat counter. So.
You're right. But when you address what we call invisible wounds, sometimes you can feel like these people are unstable or unsafe, or you don't want to come in contact with them. So now I feel like we can give you some confidence in how to interact with with fellow veterans who happen to be homeless, or even with just those homeless individuals in the Civ Div, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Is just, hey, here's some resources that I know.
yeah.
Um, I'm learning a lot about how to treat people and how to view people by watching how my kids, um, the toddlers, and how they
Hmm.
look at people and how they treat people. And one of the interesting things is it seems like because they don't know a lot about the world, they always seem to take the person in front of them like directly at face value.
Hmm.
If you know what I mean. Like if
Yeah,
you look like a scary person, they're gonna be scared of you.
yeah, yeah.
And if you look like a nice person, you're being, you know, you seem calm and nice. They're gonna feel much more relaxed around you. And so to me, it instilled to me an idea that that is a very primitive way of thinking. If that makes sense, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's embedded in something, and I'm still thinking that way. I'm
yeah.
still
It's
thinking
just
very.
a basic you know,
Mhm,
primal instinct, I guess, what you would call it, of how we judge and treat each other. Yeah.
mhm. And it's probably the thing that's kept us alive as humans, as species alive so long. But I think now, in this social context, it's probably time for a change in my own way of thinking. In that I can't exactly take all of homeless individuals that approach me, or you know, as these wounded, traumatized, substance abusing, mentally unstable uh, people, right? Who
Right.
choose this lifestyle and is incapable of holding a job or choose not to hold a job.
Hmm.
I mean, I can't. I should probably stop that way of thinking because that's the way a kid thinks, right?
Yeah,
I'm an
yeah,
adult now.
yeah.
I'm 28 years old. I should be past that. I should be changing that way of thought. So
You should have evolved beyond that. Yeah.
exactly. So I guess in another way, I hope that we would maybe create a way to challenge your way of thought, or challenge an individual's way of thought. Our fellow veterans, Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and such. Even those people who are losing their job at the Homeland Security.
Hmm.
I mean, I would like to say, let's try to at least change our view a little bit. Maybe
Yeah.
that might be a new way of our own way of helping this issue is just changing ourselves a little bit, changing how we approach the issue.
Hey.
Also, let's talk about those resources for a second, because if we are truly, supporting this view that we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps,
Hmm.
what is the best thing to do, or what's the best thing you can acquire is information on how to do that. How to, if I can, how do I, if I don't have any boots, where can I find boots to put bootstraps on so I can pull myself up,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of an important topic, and kind of something that we're kind of bringing together. So to summarize, put it all together, what I'm grasped from uh, from you, Mr. T, today, is how to pity fools correctly, and that is one of the best things I can give. Aside, I mean, money is great. Help them live another day.
Yeah.
Make their hour. Make whatever feeling and neurotransmitters that make you feel good, drugs that pop up in your brain, whatever accomplishment that makes you feel great. But the best thing we can do is to find out about information resources in our area.
Yep. Yep.
Right? That's what I'm trying to grasp from you.
Yes, that is. You know, there's there's a huge number of resources online. Now, I know if you're homeless, you might not be able to have the most readily available internet, even though public libraries. But I mean, just Googling
Right.
VA, I mean, I could give you a phone number, for veterans in need right now. But it, there's so many.
Mhm.
On another note, too, be careful of not reputable, I guess is what you would call them, veteran services. I wanted to talk about that earlier. You were saying there's organizations, I know where I used to live in Texas, it was like two or three people. It wasn't just one person. It was two or three people, had a vest, had some patches on it, had a couple ammo cans, had a table, looked pretty legit, said, would you like to donate to veterans, yada, yada, yada. Okay, yeah, why not? Stand outside of they look pretty legit. Well, it turns out they weren't. They didn't have a permit. They weren't affiliated with any organization at all.
Hmm.
No telling where that money was going to, what it
Right.
was doing, but it definitely wasn't. I actually saw them bust the police officers, take them away, like right then and there. One time I heard it on the news, and then I actually saw it.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, put them in the back of the truck, found them, or the car, said, "Hey, you can't be doing this." So be careful out there. Anything through the whether you like them or not, through the Department of Veterans Affairs, in the phone book or online, the World Wide Web is going to be legit. It's so comprehensive. They have a site map that's A to Z. They have supportive services for veterans and their families. Kind of what we were talking about last week, and it's all. And I would just call any VA number. It's going to send you to some sort of operator, and you just
Mhm.
call them unless it's an emergency. Call
Right.
911.
Well, I have right here the Veterans National Call Center for the VA's National Call Center for Homeless Veterans,
There you go.
and
Yeah.
that is part of the Eliminating Veteran Homelessness drive that you were talking about there
Uh-huh.
earlier. And the number is, and we'll talk about this. So it's again, it's kind of funny that you brought that up because it just brings to mind like you could give them a number and be
Yeah.
like, hey, call. Here's the number. Hey, buddy, you just call 1-877-424-3838 and then walk away. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like here you go. Here's actually the VA. I'm looking at it right now. Has printable business cards you can print up for yourself.
There you go.
www.va.gov/homeless. And so you can print up this business card yourself, but let's get them. How do you get this resource, these electronic resources, digital resources, and how do you instill that in these homeless individuals? I think that's a whole nother battle themselves. But a lot of
Yeah.
times it may just be a small trip, or I know that there are places in my area, particularly,
Hmm.
that where you could call a number and they'll pick them up in a
Oh,
nice
wow.
van and they'll take them to a local shelter. So that's another, again, resource, getting
Yeah.
another resources. But for now, the VA's National Call Center for Homeless Veterans is 1-877-424-3838. And the website is www.va.gov/homeless. And there is 24/7 supported and knowledgeable VA staff available to you. Again, that number is 1-877-424-3838 or 1-877-4AID-VET.
I knew there was an acronym or something in there.
Yeah, that's so weird. It always makes me feel good to say that.
Yeah.
Uh, is there any closing notes you'd like to kind of get to?
Yeah, just one there, Natron. Hey, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Michael Jackson, that's all I'm saying. Man in the Mirror, one of my favorite songs. But in all seriousness, yeah. Whoa, that was pretty impressive. That was good.
Yeah.
That was
Just
good.
see the flexibility of my kick.
I wish I could have seen that. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you again from the start of this to the end of this, I think we created good conversation points dealing with this hard topic of homelessness and all the little sections of this topic, the chemical dependency or the PTSD and stuff like that. So, and that's all it takes is conversation, get the conversation going. So,
Absolutely.
good job for you and Uncle Whit for starting this, because that's exactly what you guys are doing, and then so good on you guys.
Thank you, Mr. T.
Yeah.
I think another thing that I pulled away from this and kind of gleaned from this is that I should also change my view of homeless individuals as they approach me or as I pass them by. Is that I should now try to alter or just really recognize my own stereotypes or bias towards these individuals.
Well,
Um, for myself, Nate Sean Don, my closing note will be to stop being yourself. Everybody, stop it right now. Every single one of you, stop being yourself and just try to be something a little better.
nice,
Right.
nice.
Um, we have a number of individuals we need to thank again. We have a GoFundMe account. You can find us at under VetLine Radio, and we are asking individuals to help us keep this pirate shit rocking. And you can find us again at it's a GoFundMe account, crowdfunding, trying to get find a little more advertisement, spread the word a bit. Also, just a little bit better sound quality and such. We're sometimes it seems that we're a little lacking. You could hear my dog in the background. Other people in the neighborhood, and so we can find us at GoFundMe, VetLine Radio. Please, if you can, send a little love our way. Any size of donation helps, and we will be recognizing some individuals here. Let's see here. Let's get some names. First is you want to thank Mr. T.
Hell.
Actually, for his contribution. And the next we'll be thanking Arturo in San Diego. We'll be thanking him for his donation, keeping this ship running. As well as Robert in San Diego. Thank you for the donation. I really appreciate you. Chris, that's you. Thank you again.
Double.
Jason in Santa Fe, right. Jason in Santa Fe, thanks a lot. Thank you for your donation, for helping us keep this going. Nick out of Newport, we appreciate you and your sizable donation keeping us going. Also, Nicole and... Oh, man, I'm losing this one. Out of San Juan, we want to thank you and for your sizable donation keeping this going. And Cole out of Portland, thank you very, very much. All of you, thank you very much for helping us keep this going.
Yep.
You can find us on Facebook at VetLine Radio. You can find us on Twitter at VetLine Official. We strive to be completely listener-driven. We welcome all people from all military branches, Army, Air Force, Marine Corps. We need your questions. We need your comments. We need you. If you think you're an interesting enough person to want to talk with us, that's a pretty nice thing to say. If you think you're interesting enough, send us a line. You have something to talk about. You have something on your mind. Send us a line. We'll talk about it. We'll talk with you. That would be an honor.
That'd be cool.
So again, that'd be great. Facebook, Twitter at VetLine Official, Google+. You can find us every Saturday night at 9 o'clock on Google Hangouts on Air. I am the Natron Don.
Don't forget to spring forward.
Oh, right. Yes. For Uncle Whit, who happens to be absent today, we will see you next week. And for Mr. T saying, taps, taps. Lights out, America.
Lights out.